So, of course, in between having to review god-awful current Doctor Who shows, I've been catching up on old Doctor Who shows that I missed out on in my initial run of reviewing Classic Who. And quite a few of the Pertwee episodes I just didn't have at the time. So, I looked them up and got a hold of them to catch up later. And so such is the case with The Mutants. This was a story that's really about the terrible wrongs of colonialism and the angelic nature of the native population and stuff like that. That kind of a scenario that plays out. Although they do get into some intrigue, and there's good guys on the bad side and there's bad guys on the good side and that sort of thing. But one of the main problems with it is it really didn't deserve 6 episodes. It drags on too long for what it does. And once you see what the problem is, you immediately know where this is going, especially with the bug motif that the native people are mutating into. And with the bug motif, the actual makeup of the bug people is fine. I mean, it is for what it is, and it's actually kind of good. The problem is the native peoples are just human beings. They needed some sort of makeup for them to be somewhat more credible, that they would morph into that. Now, granted, the mutation is part of their evolution, so it's not just they're disintegrating into monsters or whatever because of what the colonists are doing, the humans from Earth are doing to them. But it's like, what's the relationship there? If there was some other version of humanity but bugs, I just don't really see it. But anyway, that's what they did, so they turned into something looking far more alien than they were initially. So it's kind of like, it doesn't work. And you say, well, the environment's different. Their seasons are stretched out, much longer and all this sort of stuff. But that's not going to get you there. So, but anyway, the idea, oh my God, look at them. They're mindless monsters now, and that sort of thing. And of course, you get a little epithet here with, instead of mutants, they're called mutts. No, they weren't turning into dogs. But anyway, basically, the colonists, the British Empire of the future, apparently, show up, and they want to turn this planet into an environment habitable by human beings, which is the current status. It isn't. Well, just go get another planet that already is Earth-like. You've got incredible technology to travel the stars, so why? Well, we found this one first, so let's just take this one. But as it goes, there's all this corruption, whatnot, and backstabbing alliances and this sort of thing. So there's 2 different leaders of the native population, and one of the leaders has gotten into bed with one of the colonist guys to assassinate the leader. And of course, the guy who now takes power is far worse than the initial leader or administrator as he was. And that sort of thing. So it backfires on the other guy. But it's okay. He ends up starting to mutate, but before he fully changes, he gets sucked out into an airlock. So don't worry about it. Meanwhile, the other guy, well, he's the good guy, and Joe Grant's got a crush on him and everything. I assume. I don't know. And they're going to help the doctor. Now, why are Joe and the doctor there? Well, the doctor receives this weird sort of misshapen spheroid thing and from the Time Lords, and he's got to deliver it because now he's a courier. He had a part-time job on the side for UPS or whatever. So off he goes to deliver it, but it can only be opened by the one that it's intended for. Turns out it's the young revolutionary. And So it opens up and it's a bunch of tablets. Basically, it's explaining their past, and it answers everything, but they can't decipher it. The doctor discovers some long-lost scientist who's been studying all this, and he's stuck in the caves. And, they work together, and they figure out more or less what the problem is. The mutations are a natural process for them. They've just been prematurely activated by the manipulations of the humans. And so this is turning them all. They think it's some sort of plague and whatnot, and they're doomed to suffer it. And of course, even the hero revolutionary succumbs to it as well. But of course, what's the inevitable outcome? Well, he transforms into a beautiful rainbow-colored butterfly. Actually more of an angel-like guy and a ghostly figure. And he's got superpowers and stuff, and he goes floating around dispatching justice to the bad guys and scaring off the rest, and ultimately destroys the evil marshal. Meanwhile, it turns out the humans had a justice department that was sent over to investigate this. And more or less, they get around to it and decide, well, yeah, this was wrong and shouldn't have happened, and we'll make amends. And so one of the few good guys of the colonists ends up being put in charge. Unfortunately, the guy playing him couldn't act to save his life. It's really bad. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice man, but he just could not act. And but he's in charge of the starship that's in orbit around the planet. And well, they're gonna have better relations now that the bugs are all gonna turn into glowing butterfly angels or whatever. So everything's happy and stuff. And then the Doctor and Joe get back to the TARDIS and leave. And so there you go. Well, at least everything was resolved, But for the most part, most of this was within the confines of science fiction, which means there's a certain amount of nod to actual scientific theory and whatnot. And of course, evolution and the mutations, the process of that. And that sort of thing is explored there. And then the ideas of a future spacefaring societies out there and stuff like that, it takes place here. Even though there's folklore and legends and whatnot played into it, but it takes it to, you're in the science fiction realm, so there's an explanation for it and what have you, even though, I mean, in the end, the guy's pretty godlike floating around. But hey, there was a way he got there and all that. Unlike Current Who, which is just magic and pull it out of your ass stuff and don't even try to explain it that much, if that. So, seeing it through that lens, hey, it was a better run than I would have originally thought. But ultimately, yeah, it didn't really measure up to 6 episodes. There was a little too much of it. But I don't hate it. It's not, the bad parts of it are few and far between. It's just, I think it ran too long for the most part. And the bugs kind of look cool, So, there's that.